3 years ago, I 24F moved in with my friend. We'll call her Karen, 23F. We had been friends for about a year but had known each other and been acquaintances for roughly 10 years. This friend was known to be a little bipolar, but she respected me and knew I had way clearer boundaries than her other friends. We moved in with my now fiancé 26M in a 2-bedroom apartment. We were paying 2/3 of the rent while Karen paid 1/3. The first issue arose when she asked if she could move her dog in, and I said no problem. I was working as an assistant manager for anywhere from 40 to 55 hours a week and would come home to dog pee and poop everywhere, and I mean everywhere. Think floors, couch, walls, and he chewed everything, got into garbage, the whole bit. I would let him out and clean up the mess, and then inform Karen that she needed to take better care of her dog. She demanded that her job, which she typically worked 6-hour days, was too much for her and that it was my job to take care of her dog. Meanwhile, she constantly called off or showed up to work hours late. At one point I refused to clean it, so at most she would pick up poop, but she wouldn't scrub anything. I witnessed one of her friends sleep with her face next to an unscrubbed dog poop stain on the couch and about vomited. The second big issue arose when second month's rent was due. I texted Karen that my fiancé, we'll call him Bear, and I had our rent ready, and if we could get together to write a check to the renters. She told me the banks were closed and she didn't have the money. As if the banks not being open made up for your poor planning. So we had to rearrange our finances to cover her third of the rent. I texted her that we covered it for her and that she owed us 1/3 of rent. She replied after a few hours that her mommy paid it so her rent for next month would be covered. I replied that would mean that my fiancé and I were 1/3 ahead and she would still owe next month, as we were the ones that paid extra. She argued and was adamant that we were wrong and that she was not going to pay. Another issue was food. In the first month that we lived there, we spent $600 on food to fill the house and pantry while Karen shopped with me and bought equal amounts of food. I budget very well with food, and one way I do that is buying store brand products. Karen kept snapping that she didn't like store brand and that I was pissing her off. I told her that what I buy for myself was none of her business, as we were both buying our own groceries. I caught her sending her BF to work with my food. We're talking a whole 12-pack of stuff, and I got irritated. The food waste really ticked me off when one time I had friends over for a party and came out the next day to my food all thrown out or just shoved out of the fridge, but still in containers. Karen's excuse was there was no room for her food in the fridge, so she emptied it completely. After 3 weeks, I ran out of $600 worth of food and had to yet again rearrange my budget to allow for more groceries. After this, petty and lazy stuff happened all of the time. I tried to wash my clothes in our shared washer and came to my wet clothes soaking across the basement floor. We found a week-old rotisserie chicken in the microwave with maggots in it. There was so much more, but honestly, it's not all worth my energy typing. After my clothes were found strewn across the floor, I came up really heated and said that my shit better start getting respected, at which point Karen's boyfriend tried to step up to me and my fiancé told him to watch himself. Karen turned around and refused to look at me or talk while her boyfriend yelled that I needed to step up and clean up after Karen more because she was tired from work. As if I wasn't working way more than her? At this point I agreed to sign BF's name, we'll call him Steven, onto the lease. I did this because it made it easier to sign my name off of the lease, so I informed Karen that I would be leaving as soon as possible. I came home from work to my furniture on the front porch. I moved it back in and told Karen that she better not touch my stuff again before I move out. At which point she informed me that she paid rent early, so I could leave since I didn't pay my share for that month. As if it worked that way. The very next day I got a screen recording sent to me of a 15-minute Snapchat video of Karen's boyfriend, Steven, going on a meth-fueled rant saying he was gonna kick my ass for basically standing up for myself against his girlfriend and that my fiancé was a big teddy bear, so if he tried to get in the way he would knock him out too. Then went on a rant saying the house being a mess was my fault and the dog mess was also my responsibility. The whole video was a mess and you could tell he was on drugs, but it was enough to make us decide that we were just done. So I called my dad and asked for help moving furniture. We showed up to our apartment to find Steven sitting there with a handgun on the coffee table in front of him, and Bear exploded. He grabbed a hold of Steven and told him to call him a teddy bear to his face. Steven tried to gouge his eyes out, and that's when my fiancé went ham on this man. He was a wrestler in high school, and I've never seen someone get his ass kicked with only 2 total punches thrown. At one point, he smashed his ribs between his arms and the ground, and I truly believe he broke them. I called the cops so that we could give our statements and so that the cops could watch while we took the rest of our belongings. I wanted our statements taken so that my roommate couldn't manipulate the situation. No charges were filed for either party. Karen has made posts saying it's on site as soon as she sees me, but I have blocked her on all social media and went so far as to delete mutual friends that I had no interest in forcing to take sides. She has stalked multiple social media platforms and has had friends comment on statuses threatening me. Here's the kicker. I thought she has been done obsessing over me for roughly 2 years now. I moved out and became a mom and am excited to say we are pregnant again with our second. Recently, her fiancé keeps coming up for the people you may know tab on my socials, and I got a notification saying that I may know him too. I felt like she was trying to stalk me again, so I blocked him too. Well, lo and behold, a friend came up to me and said that Karen was bragging that she found out the gender of my baby. I just thought that this was such weird behavior and fit well in this thread. I feel like I will forever have a fan because no matter how hard I try to block her, I find out that she's studying my life again. Too bad you can't block a person in real life, lol.